Doomer content on YouTube is like comfort food for excess males who've been chewed up by life. We watch it for a sense of solidarity, collective struggle, to feel like we have a voice. But what if that doomer you trust is actually just LARPing for views? And he's really just privileged, winning at life, and monetizing the despair of guys who aren't? That is the Pauly Walnuts question. So let's take a look at what he doesn't highlight. The Pauly Walnuts channel blew up fast. Nearly 50K subs in just 1 year. Multiple videos pulling big numbers early. And yet he frames it like wisdom. I would know. I've been listening to him since he started. He pushes the idea of, if I can do it, so can you, like a Disney movie or out-of-touch boomer. But to those of us who took the true pill, a lot of it reads more like, I got lucky in my early 20s, cashed out, and now I'm selling a vibe. And if you're a viewer who's actually stuck in a shitty life situation, that matters. In this video, I'm going to break down the gap between the doomer persona and the reality, and why that gap matters if you're an excess male who's struggling with loneliness, burnout, or failing to build a life worth living. If you've been deceived into thinking this guy understands your hardships, just wait until you find out how good he really has it. Do you guys ever feel like the universe only rewards people who already have it all? Because I do. It's one of the most brutal realities to accept. And the last thing guys like us want in hard times is to have that reality rubbed in our faces. We seek out doomer and pill creators to feel less alone. But what happens when the relatable doomer is actually living life on easy mode? If you're selling struggle as your brand, you're also selling credibility. In this niche, there's an unspoken parasocial contract. The creator has the lived experience to speak on men's issues, and the viewer assumes you get it because you lived it. For me, once I learn the guy I'm listening to is privileged and out of touch, the spell breaks. If you struggled through your 20s and made it in your 30s, fine, I can respect that. But I can't take someone seriously who basically stumbled into success before 25. So what am I pointing to when I say Pauly Walnuts is privileged and out of touch? A few things. Any one of these things alone doesn't prove someone has an easy life, but taken together, the picture gets pretty hard to deny. First, and most relevant to my channel, height. As we all should know already, and as I've covered endlessly, height is the #1 physical trait that shapes male life outcomes. It affects opportunities, how people treat you, how seriously you're taken as a leader, whether you're targeted by criminals, and how likely you are to be considered for higher positions. And yes, for most women, it's also the #1 indicator of attractiveness. It even changes your baseline sense of safety and confidence when you physically look down on most people most of your life. As a man who stopped growing at 12 and ended up 5'3½", and who spent years studying height advantage, I've earned my right to talk about this. And from a picture Pauly posted in one of his videos, the guy is clearly tall. Sure, you could claim the shorter guys up front skew it, but look at the men in the back too. Out of the whole group, only one guy is taller than him. It doesn't really fit to brand yourself as an average guy when you tower over the vast majority of men around you. We don't know his childhood story, but height often correlates with a healthier, more prosperous upbringing. And those advantages tend to compound over generations, which is exactly why height became a status symbol in the first place. Pauly also likes to talk about enjoying life while you're still young. There's a huge irony here, and I'll expand on it soon. But it's very easy to preach enjoy your youth to struggling guys trying to money max when you're already set by 25. The dude makes more money than 99% of guys his age without having to lift a finger. He just kicks back, plays video games, collects dividends, and uploads one low-effort video a week. I genuinely think the hardest thing he does in a day is placing a $45 DoorDash order. It reminds me of my uncle, whose life is basically working out and playing golf while he collects dividends. No offense, Uncle Bert. Love ya, but you've got an easy life. But at least my uncle knows the struggle of being a bald, short guy. And the success of Pauly's low-effort content is another sign of privilege. Luck and fortune. People who blow up easily on YouTube start thinking they have some secret formula everyone else is too dumb to understand. Their egos inflate with false pride. But if you've walked a mile in my shoes, you already know modern YouTube's like 90% luck. Whether the algorithm decides your channel will be the one it showcases for your niche in an era where impressions feel increasingly rationed. They shrunk the number of end screen options, flood the home feed with shorts, and the slots for long form get tighter. I've made almost 50 videos. My thumbnails are crafted with care and strategy and take 1 to 3 hours each. Hooks, structure, writing, pacing, editing, everything is deliberate. Meanwhile, he uses a game screenshot, text with weak contrast, and awkward cutouts like it was slapped together in 15 minutes. Same with the videos. I do a 15-hour grind for 1,000 views, and he does an hour and gets 50K. That's totally fair, right? I will give him this, though. If he's truly recording these as clean, concise, one-take rants, that's impressive. Same goes for DBDR, aka Hat Flying, who I'll cover later. But here's where I start raising an eyebrow. A lot of these creators claim ADHD, depression, or brain damage from years of drinking or smoking that green tobacco. I deal with all of that, so I know what it looks like. And even after tons of practice, I still can't record a perfect one-take video without getting tongue-tied, forgetting my point, repeating myself, or rambling for 2 hours straight. So yeah, I'm skeptical when someone can do a flawless rant with no pauses and no screw-ups under 20 minutes and still wants credit for overcoming adversity. Maybe him and DBDR are just built different. Maybe it's a permanent manic state. I'm not a psychiatrist. And last but not least, Pauly said it himself. He's basically set for life financially. I'll explain further shortly. But yeah, the guy has it all. He's never even struggled with women. So when you stack all of that together, it's hard not to see the irony of someone speaking for the struggles of Gen Z men, the most lonely, depressed, broke, and hopeless generation of men in history, when he himself is a statistical anomaly living a 1 in 10 million life. As I said, the guy has made it financially. While most of us hustle just to exist, he gets to kick back and rake in passive income. And he explains how, in his video, Crypto Changed My Life This Year. Crypto and stock market gains saved him from wage slavery. And naturally, that kind of early win inflates your ego and makes you feel like a guru. But I got rich young isn't the kind of wisdom worth listening to. Wisdom comes from suffering, repetition, failure, and emotional turmoil. I don't know about you, but I can't stand being lectured by someone years younger than me who was simply in the right place at the right time. Early 20s investment wins aren't guru material. If you got lucky at 23, you shouldn't be lecturing 30-year-olds who've bled for a decade. He says he started investing 30% of his income into stocks and ETFs as soon as he got a corporate job. He got into Bitcoin and XRP back in 2021, right before they went to the moon. And he frames it as a sacrifice that he had to live in his parents' house for a couple years, which sucked. Meanwhile, a lot of us are still living in our childhood rooms well into our 30s. But if you really listen to what he's saying, it sounds less like genius and more like luck and privilege. Getting a corporate job right out of college in the early 2020s is a lucky break. I'll admit it myself. I never would have gotten my corporate job if I didn't randomly meet the company president at a bar right after submitting my resume. And even having the option to invest 30% of your income is a privilege that most Gen Z will never have. He tells the audience he did a lot of research, but plenty of investors did research and still got destroyed. Timing is everything, and he just happened to be there at the start of the bubble. And honestly, I don't believe he figured this out alone. My theory is that a parent or a relative walked him through it. Maybe I'm wrong, but being exposed to Bitcoin and XRP early, right at the base of a massive bull run, is also a who-you-know thing. He claims back in 2021 that he and his friends noticed XRP was being artificially suppressed, looked into it, and discovered it was being used by institutions to move liquidity. But that story smells fishy. That's not something a random 21-year-old stoner just stumbles into. Someone or something pointed him in the right direction at the right time. And that's luck. Now compare that to my garbage luck. I spent like 8 months day trading when I was 20. I did research, I diversified, but almost every penny stock I touched went to zero. I lost $5,000 and didn't recover $3K until 4 years later. I also lived with family while working a corporate job. I didn't invest 30% either. I invested more like 80% into index funds, and those low to mid-risk returns only made me a few $1,000s a year. Most of that money eventually went into funding my business venture, the thing I've been enslaved to since 2020. I also got into Bitcoin around 2021, but I only had about 2K, and it's only gained about 1K since then. As for XRP, I didn't even hear about it until October 2025. It's like everything I buy crashes and everything I sell moons. I bought 3K of XRP near the all-time high, then watched it immediately fall below $2 and stay there. I kept throwing money at it, got my average cost down to $233, and I've basically lost hope. God just hates me and wants me to fail. I even sold half my Bitcoin thinking it would drop below 80K, and it instantly ripped back above 90K and stayed there. Meanwhile, my golf-playing uncle heard about XRP around the same time Pauly did and never told me. He bought a ton at 30 cents each and made $50,000. So when you hear Pauly talk about being set for life and making 6 figures from his investment, it makes you wonder what kind of corporate job he had and whether nepotism was involved. The reality is, if the universe doesn't want you to succeed, you can do everything right and still go nowhere. Timing is everything, and if Pauly would just acknowledge how much luck played a role, I would respect him more. Pretending it's all merit is the problem. The most dangerous advice comes from people who succeeded early and think they built a universal blueprint for success. Pauly Walnuts went from easy win to easy win in life, and as a result, he pushes this blue-pilled hope fuel nonsense about how we could all be like him if only we tried, indirectly victim-blaming those of us who did try, burning ourselves out and growing old chasing a dream that never came because we never got lucky. The guy hit 10K subs after just a dozen or so videos and decided to post this bullshit to his community tab, telling us that the world is yours. That's right, Pauly. The world is yours. He talks like struggle's all a mindset issue and not a circumstance issue. What about you guys? Do you think doomer content hits different if the creator is privileged? Or does it not matter if the message is still good? Now here's why I say Pauly Walnuts is LARPing for views. And if you've been listening so far, you probably already know. He talks about doomer and pill topics and the struggles of Gen Z men like he knows it firsthand. But in reality, he has very little experience. It's like listening to someone dressed as a soldier while they narrate the battlefield from a balcony. I've watched a lot of Pauly Walnuts over the last year, but the gap between his life and mine didn't fully hit me until his recent video, Living is Expensive and Rotting is Free. And this was before I even realized he made big money off crypto and investing. That video stirred something in me, and I want to share those reactions with you now. Interesting to hear you, a successful YouTuber whose videos automatically hit the algorithm from the start, complain about the struggles of people actually going through it. I'm almost 30 years old, burned out, and spent my entire 20s grinding only to see guys years younger than me never have to lift a finger to see success by comparison. Someone who doesn't even need that win, who already won at life. It's the kind of shit that makes me hate God. Sorry, but I only respect the opinions of people who didn't have easy success. I bet you make 10K a month living the dream. Everything I tried to do in life failed due to no fault of my own. I don't admire college kids who got lucky and are set for life before their 25th birthday. Now that I know he got lucky with investments too, my feelings are even stronger. And what's even more disgusting is watching his army of simps rush to defend their privileged master. I found this heartbreaking comment from a lonely, broke 40-year-old man, and all I could think of was, what business does a privileged 25-year-old like Pauly Walnuts have being the voice of men who struggled for decades, whose dreams are already dead? So I replied, And I wasn't expecting the white knights to come crawling out of the woodwork to debate me. That's the parasocial trap. Sunk cost. They're emotionally invested in this tall rich kid as the spokesperson for their pain, and they can't stomach the idea that they've been misled. It turned into a full-on argument, and I think I dismantled them with basic logic. See for yourself. Here's the original commenter. Just turned 40. No kids, renting, perpetually broke. Shit is bullshit. So I replied to him. Meanwhile, this guy making these videos is half your age, making twice as much money making low-effort YouTube videos, all complaining about things you're going through and he isn't. You and I actually struggle. The guy making this video never has and never will. He just fell right into success at a young age, doing something fulfilling and independent. I only respect people who got shat on by the universe for 10 years like me. It's easy to talk about enjoying life while young when you actually have something you created to be proud of that brings in income. So Ass Kisser number 1 says, "That's a lot of assumptions." And keep in mind with my reply, I had his age confused with someone else, when he's actually 25. So I reply to the Ass Kisser, "It's not an assumption, it's a fact. I know he's in his early 20s. I see how many vids he's made, been watching since he started. And I know by experience how it feels to try your hardest and do everything right, only to see people 10 years younger than you just walk into easy success. And trust me, getting that high of views so early on in a channel is easy success. It's ironic to listen to someone who has it easy talk on behalf of people who have it hard." So the Ass Kisser says, "To say it is a fact that the video author has never struggled, to say that he isn't going through what he's complaining about is literally impossible to prove, and just a bit odd. Yeah, he's not 40, lived 2 decades more, but struggles aren't the same for everyone, and to compete in struggles is very sad. The world isn't a suffer Olympics. Also, do you figure it's fact that he doesn't experience these things but makes specifically videos about it?" If that kind of Reddit logic and broken English doesn't tell you the kind of intellect I'm up against, you're in for a real treat. And again, this is before I knew he had also made a fortune on investments in his early 20s. So I said, if you succeeded as a YouTuber in your early 20s, you never struggled. You never went through 10 years of grind for nothing in return, failing over and over while you sacrifice all your relationships and free time to dedicate to a grind that never pays off, all while you grow older and lose your youth only to watch people much younger succeed. No one who starts getting 100K plus views on gameplay commentary videos before his 50th upload had to struggle. I had a shit childhood too, in case he did, but he's probably a rich kid because in this world it seems only rich kids succeed. But I don't care because it was temporary. It's now over, and there was no pressure to succeed like there is when you're reaching 30. Let me guess, you're gonna victim blame me now and tell me it's all my fault. That's what people like you usually do to those stricken with bad fortune. If you do, I only hope that my curse finds you in return. Everyone should struggle like I had to learn some empathy and compassion. As you can tell, I was pretty upset. After that, I decided to leave another reply. So I said, and when you're talking about the Suffer Olympics, it definitely makes more sense to listen to someone who has suffered more discuss these topics rather than someone who's waltzed right into success at their first venture. Sure, it was a good video, not saying it wasn't. But you can use ChatGPT to make videos like this and then edit them to fit your choice. You don't necessarily have to have gone through the worst to make good content about these topics, but it's not actually genuine or authentic. Kiss ass number 1 left a laughing emoji and that was the last I heard of him. But in comes kiss ass number 2. This guy's even worse than the first one. Waltzed into success. Keep telling yourself that, bro. While you're out there suffering, the little man is making it out of the game. It's about when you start doing something about it. So I say, I guarantee you I've worked orders of magnitude harder and for longer than Pauly Walnuts or anyone in their early to mid-20s. From going above and beyond at my first corporate job at 23, to building my first business at 24 with $450, spending 5 years painstakingly building it from the ground up, only for legal changes to render it unfeasible, and unforeseen market conditions to completely flip it all upside down. On top of that, I built multiple creator accounts on basically every platform, wrote and published a book, professionally recorded a song, developed my own deck of cards, and spent years pounding the pavement to establish business relationships with shops around the area, getting brutally rejected and mistreated in the process. This account is only my latest venture. I've literally not had a single day off in months. My mom is mentally ill, my grandma who raised me is getting dementia. I'll soon have no loved ones left, never had a girlfriend, have no time for friends, and none of it has panned out into a living income. Getting 50K plus views on gameplay commentary by age 24 before you even make 30 uploads is the definition of waltzed into success. Keep coping. Reality is, you can do everything right and still fail. So this gives you an idea of the kind of red pill bootstraps logic we're dealing with. If you think I did a good job pushing back, let me know in the comments. And tell me what else you would have added. Because in the end, they stopped responding. And to me, that's a win. And I don't know about you, but as an aging inkwell loser who's almost 30 and never had a girlfriend despite asking out dozens of women, the last person I want to hear from about dating and the male loneliness epidemic is a 25-year-old who's already had multiple relationships since high school. He even confirms it in his video, "She Might Not Be the One." Personally, I stopped listening to doomer YouTubers who don't actually know what it's like to live life in our shoes. And zooming out, Pauly Walnuts is basically rich get richer incarnate. The unfairness of the universe on full display. His life looks like one long series of fortunate events. He got financial independence while still young, and even his YouTube trajectory is a statistical anomaly. In 1 year, he gained 46,000 subscribers off 75 long-form videos at age 25. Less than a month in, he had a video hit 500K views, talking about quitting his corporate job and bragging that he made his salary in crypto in a couple months. 2 months after starting, he had 10K subs. Then he dropped another video about making 6 figures in crypto in his early 20s, and it pulled 30K views like that's supposed to make him a guru. Meanwhile, I got 5 views per upload for my first month and didn't break 100 views until 2 months in. It took me 5 months to get monetized, and I still average 1 to 2K views even when I do everything right. Pauly never had to grind. The algorithm blessed him after a handful of low-effort videos. It's just more proof that the already advantaged get amplified, and people flock to further enrich someone who doesn't even need his channel to succeed. All while most of us slave away for nothing or rot in bed wishing we could just go to sleep forever. And he acts like all we have to do is follow his lead. Yeah, kids, just get lucky like me. Just invest in crypto 4 years ago and get boosted by the YouTube AI. Most of us assume the doomer YouTubers we watch have suffered like we have. We believe the person we're listening to knows the struggle, the grind, and that the content is authentic. That there isn't some massive gap between the creator's quality of life and the audience's reality. We don't assume that the channel's just a calculated niche strategy built by a 25-year-old who got lucky financially and then got handed easy success on YouTube too. But what do you do when you find out? Do you keep contributing to making the rich richer? Or do you find someone else to listen to? Someone whose life actually has been as bad as yours? My suggestion for your long-term mental well-being is this. In this niche, watch creators who actually did their time, who paid the price in time and toil, who know your struggle by experience. Support male issues creators who actually need the views, not inexperienced kids stacking more money on top of already towering stacks of cash. If someone's selling struggle, demand honesty about the role of luck. And don't let a guy who's lived life on easy mode write your instruction manual for life on hard mode. And let me know in the comments, what's one time you tried your best, did everything right, and still got screwed over by the universe? Subscribe for more brutal truths and brutal stories from a guy who's actually lived it. And if you enjoyed this video, you'd also enjoy this one, about my life as an involuntarily stay-at-home son. Thanks for watching, and please remember to like the video.